Good morning, friends. You're welcome to Early Morning Musings with Reverend Banji Oladipo. This morning, I want to tell us a story of a young boy who lived in a city with his parents. And upon a certain day, there was an earthquake. The ground was shaking all around them. Buildings were collapsing all around the city. People were running helter-skelter, it was such a sight to behold. And by the time the whole shaking was done, this little boy was trapped underneath the rubble with his friend who came to play with him in his parents' apartment. And while they were there, the friend who came visiting was crying that this is the end for them, that they were going to die. But this young boy was comforting his friend, telling his friend that don't worry, we're still alive, we're not dead yet. And one thing I can assure you is that no matter how long it takes, I know that my Father is going to come for us. Meanwhile, on the outside, the father, by the time the whole shaking was done, ran from where he was to his apartment and saw that the whole building, had collapsed. He looked all around, shouting the name of his son, but it was nowhere to be found until a neighbor said to him that, hey, your son and his friend, they are probably trapped under the rubble because they were in your apartment playing just before the earthquake started. And the father, running towards the rubble, was grabbed by firemen, told not to go because the ground was still unstable. And if he decided to go move in the rubbles, there could be another earth movement that could eventually cause the death of his son. But this man, against all odds, ran into the rubble, got a spade and ran against all odds and started digging the area where his apartment used to be. He was digging, moving stones, moving wood, moving all kinds of furnitures. At some point the spade broke. He started using his hands to dig through, and eventually he was able to see a small hole where he could shout through to find out if his son was still alive. And inside there was a son with his friend who was crying right now that they were going to die. And this little boy kept assuring his friend that don't worry, no matter what happens, my Father is going to come for us. And by the time the father shouted through that little hole, called the name of his son smiled. And his friend was shocked, and he told his friend, he said, I told you my Father was going to come for us, and surely he has come for us. And he and his friend moved towards the hole, and he discovered that only one person can get through that hole at a time. His friend, thinking that, okay, since he's your father, then you go first and let's see if he would be able to come back for me. But guess what? This young boy told his friend, he said, you know what? You go first. You go with my Father. Because I know that if he goes with you, no matter what happens, he will surely come back for me. And you see, from this story, I learned about trust. I learned about believing. And I came to encourage somebody out there this morning that no matter how bad things may get around you, there is a God in heaven who cares about you. And you see, he's not just our God, he's also our Father. That's the difference. He's the God of all creation, but he is our Father. For you to call God your Father, you must have accepted Jesus Christ into your life before you can become a son of the living God. And if God is your Father, guess what? No matter the troubles, the trials around you, listen to me, he will surely come for you. He will. Trust me, he will. There may be famine in the land. There may be a pandemic in the land. You may have a lot of people who hate you. You may have a lot of people who are waiting for your downfall. A lot of things may just be going wrong around you. But I need you to be like that young man who said, no matter what happens and no matter how long it takes, I know that in the midst of all of this, my Father will surely come for me. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to summon up courage in the midst of all that you're going through and know that God has not forgotten you. God bless you. Do have a wonderful day.